Welcome back to Ozarks Tonight. Well, an unexpected death in the family can be tough to deal with emotionally. We all know that, but there's financial obstacles to that as well, especially if the person that passed away is in charge of the finances for the family. So Sarah Russell from Arvest Wealth Management is joining us today to talk about the topic. It's not the happiest topic to talk about around Christmas time, but you know, it is great information as well. Thanks for being here. So what are some ways you can prepare, hopefully you're never in this situation, but what are some things you can prepare just in case?
Sure. Yeah, like you said, it's not something people usually enjoy talking about, but the end of the year can actually be a really good time to start some of this planning. We get statements and things at the end of the year that we might not get throughout the year. So just kind of starting with some items like personal identification, so driver's license, birth certificate, marriage certificate, financial and legal documents, so those bank statements I said end of the year, tax information, investment statements, car titles, deeds of trust, things like that. And then if you have legal or financial documents in place for estate planning, maybe a trust or a will, just having that all gathered together in one place is kind of a good plan.
Now, is there a safer place than others to store some of this stuff in your home?
Yeah, I think if you have a safe at home that's, you know, fireproof, waterproof, those are good places. You just want to have them, you know, out of sight if you had an intruder. But definitely your bank should have a safe deposit box available usually, and they range in different sizes, and so you can get all your financial documents in there and have them in one place. You just want to make sure someone knows where the key is for that, which we come across sometimes. So.
Definitely. Now, I'm sure this is a great conversation for spouses to have with each other, but also, you know, how can your bank come into play here as well? Yeah,
well, we can kind of provide some guidance on maybe some of the documents that you need to have in place, and then just the ways you can do that. You know, accounts need to be titled in a certain way so that if someone needed to access your funds, there's a gap there sometimes where we talk about planning during our life and then what we want to do in the event of our death, but we may become incapacitated in the middle there. And so having some legal documents in place where people can help you financially or maybe take care of you medically if you become incapacitated are really important.
For sure. Now, if the person that passes away is not only in control of the finances, what if they're the only person in the family, they're the main breadwinner for the family as well? Are there steps that you should take in place of their, you know, untimely passing?
Yeah, definitely. There's all kinds of things you can have in place as a replacement of income. So talking to a financial advisor about setting some of those things up. And then definitely, you know, anytime we're talking about emergency type things, to have some kind of fund set aside. So maybe a savings account where it's untapped, you don't use it for big purchases or vacations, but it's just set aside and it's just particularly for those emergency times.
For sure. When you have individuals come to you in this type of situation, maybe what are some of their questions or some of the obstacles they're experiencing when they go through this?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is, especially in the event of a death, you know, the family members or people around them just want to be able to grieve and not try to put the puzzle pieces together. So the best that you can gather all of that information up and have it in one place. I think the two main things that we see are people start and then don't complete that process, and then maybe they've completed the process but they didn't tell anybody where it was.
Sure.
So gathering up all that information, but then also having maybe a one-page, this is where everything's at, these are passwords and things. There's a lot of electronic or digital assets that we see now, and one of the things we come across is not having a password or access to get into something and maybe find those subscriptions or things like that. So that's something to share with somebody else.
Sure, I was going to ask about that because, you know, a lot of the passwords we do have these days they're digital, and you need them to get into. I mean, just think about how many different passwords you have for every single site you get into. So I'm sure having that written down is very, very important as well. What about, you know, medical information or anything else that you might need?
Yeah, those are another couple key pieces there. So definitely medical information you want to have, again, especially in the event of your incapacity. So maybe a financial power of attorney, a medical power of attorney that just kind of says how you want to be cared for, and then maybe a copy of your insurance card and a list of any medications you take, just kind of what your preferences would be. And then emergency contact info in there as well. So again, that might be family members or close friends. It might be some medical staff that you'd want to be contacted. But then also something to think about is just if you have people doing regular service work or home repairs around your house that would need to be kept up or maybe canceled, just a list of those that someone could contact.
For sure. So we're heading toward the holidays. People are going to be meeting with family over dinner or a Christmas celebration or holiday or whatever it might be. What is the number one thing that you could recommend that people, what conversation do they need to have this next week?
I would recommend just taking some time to kind of put those wishes in place. If you don't have time to get legal documents in place, at least have a list, have some things kind of gathered, sign it and date it, and then just, maybe pinch your neighbor and say, hey, this is where this is at. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, again, we hope that this never happens to anybody, but we want you all to be prepared just in case an unfortunate event does happen. Sarah Russell, Arvis Wealth Management, thanks so much for being here. Great information.
Yep.
We'll be back with more right after this.